It's 1604 on the 6th of the 6th, 2023, and this upload is for the interest of authorities that have an obligation to locate missing children and to, I suppose, make sure that everyone's safe in society. Unfortunately, I've been experiencing the loss of my child. He's a missing person, and his whereabouts haven't been disclosed. He's been illegally withheld from me, and this is a matter surrounding farm fraud and the issues that have been caused for me unduly, inexcusably, and unnecessarily, simply to the fact of matrimony. I'm a property owner, and my child has been used in a circumstance of very dangerous wrongdoings by individuals that have been of financial fraud that this community has been addressing for the past 5 to 7 years. As I keep sharing throughout my documentary that I'm fully entitled to be disclosing as a qualified graduate of the University of Limerick from culture and literature and media. The individuals that have been of identity theft, that have been frauding their identity to impose upon my royal patronage, is also another matter that the authorities have been made aware of since 2017 and that nothing has been done about. So this has been brought to the attention of the European Parliament. There are politicians up in Dublin that have been facilitating social influencers that are a hazard to the safety of society. There are social influencers in County Kerry that have been publicising messages in PR stunts for simple purposes of the limelight, and they have been in their actions very there have been a contravention to the proper etiquette of media and broadcasting and civil rights, human rights, constitutional rights. Now, there's an issue of individuals that are in my proximity that have caused harm to my child and I, and they have caused obstruction as well, and they are not safeguarded by the law. They're not protected by the law offending me. They're not protected by royal protocol offending my royal patronage or my royal positions, and they have put a blockade, an obstruction that is harmful to themselves. And that gives me huge concern about the level of integrity, professionalism, and the level of standards that these people are assuming to be working with when there has been so much theft and fraud from me, and most worse of all from my child that was taken illegally from me. As I keep reiterating, the individuals in my proximity have been taking credit, I suppose, for evangelical developments in society. They have claimed to have cleaned up society, they've claimed to have reformed society, but in the shadow of it all, there is more of the same from County Kerry. It's fraud, it's corrupt, it's an awful word to have to use as a royal, that people can't observe royal protocol. It's very dangerous that I have to be tolerating the predicament that I'm tolerating without the authorities that have benefited from my crime prevention and recovery advocacy as a royal, that the authorities have not done what they're supposed to do to safeguard my child and I. So my child has been exposed to hazardous circumstances as a consequence of unlawful care orders. He's at the tender age of 8. So he's reached the age of reason, and he knows what has happened, and he has been through trauma without my care to safeguard him from individuals that have not acted or behaved in his best interests. So that is quite disturbing for me from an educator's perspective, and that there are politicians up in Dublin receiving a very handsome salary and taking huge credit for work that has been pillaged and looted from my portfolio. That's quite audacious, it's rude, and it's discourteous, and it's unprofessional. So they've caused obstruction, they've imposed poverty upon me, no less. I have a level 9 to level 10 qualification standard on the National Framework for Education. I have the 20 years that I've contributed as a recovery advocate to society that culminated in legislation 2019, namely and notably COVID-19 and Brexit, and now the new framework. So there's been huge initiatives around my purpose that people are taking credit for and misaccrediting and exploiting financially also, I might add. So it's quite serious that there are people thinking that they're acting in good faith when there is a background of blasphemy actually attached. And when I am a recovery advocate, I have had the obligation to acquaint myself with many faith practices. As an educator that meets many ethnicities, I have to be respectful and mindful and considerate of many faiths, denominations in society. And that's not only because or due to my own bloodline, but due to the people that I have helped throughout my recovery advocacy in the classroom and outside the classroom and on formal and informal excursions or events or any interactions, public or private, in the past 25 years since I became qualified from the University of Limerick. So there are politicians up in Dublin that have taken it upon themselves to take credit for my professional portfolio while they've imposed poverty and not fulfilled their obligations respectfully as they should have. It's a very serious situation that I'm a mother, that I'm living in the conditions and suffering the conditions that have been imposed upon me while people think they're walking onto property with a child damaged from me and a child that has been traumatized without me. There's no excusing it. There have been people safeguarded and protected and prospered, and these people have prospered themselves from my portfolio. So it's no laughing matter. These people have done so many publicity stunts and PR stunts. It's embarrassing for me personally, coming from the calibre of education that was provided in the University of Limerick, where there is a standard of good practice, a really high standard of good practice, and that has not been respected by the social influencers in County Kerry that are claiming to be of the developments that culminated as Brexit and COVID-19 from my personal experience, strengths and hopes as a recovery advocate and as an educator and as a royal humanitarian. So the town of Tralee, where I was born and bred, is a place now of slander, false reporting and intrusions, and that is making people unsafe. So when mothers and children are being made unsafe, the future is unsafe, and my farm's futures are unsafe as well. People that have unlawfully separated my child from me and that have debts owing to my name and that have defamed my name and my character and reputation, those people are not safe on my farms. So the farm fraud, the unlawful care orders, the disrespect to royal protocol, my bloodline, my royal ancestry that's being disrespected, that's all quite dangerous. Publicity stunts, PR stunts that I'm confronted with that are disparaging to my contributions to society. Those people that find that amusing, I wonder if it would be as amusing if the shoe was on the other foot, if it was anybody else's child, how comfortable they'd feel with the conditions that are going on, that are quite unacceptable. So this isn't a laughing matter. It's despicable that there is a dangerous obstruction, and the authorities are fully aware of the crime prevention that I have initiated, that has saved people's wealth and safety. There have been women like myself that have experienced the intolerable, so it's not really safe for other women to find this amusing or, in any way lighthearted. As I have observed, there have been people without any credibility and without any calibre of character that have failed to step up to the mark, and they've disrespected the system and they've offended my forefathers' constitution. So that's all very offensive, and these people are an obstruction, they're an obstacle to progress. They're not obstructing just the progress of the democracy, they're not just obstructing progress of hygiene and safety that my experiences, strengths, and hopes highlighted discrepancies in. There have been damages to the entertainment scene as well. And as a recovery advocate, my humanitarian recovery advocacy has had an input in all of that also. So the people that are misaccrediting and that are prospering themselves, they might have, I suppose, a reality check. I'm awaiting since 2017 for the politicians up in Dublin to do the honourable thing and to fulfil obligations to Royal Protocol. The streets of Tralee, where I have to walk to do groceries or chores or whatever for myself, errands or whatever, is an unsafe place. People are false reporting, and that's defamation of my good name, and my name is Royal. So those people that are disrespecting Royal Protocol, Royal Ancestry, aren't really earning any kudos in offending the source of progress in society. So I unashamedly have to produce this documentary. Those that are not comfortable with this communicative process of my documentary and the topic and content and message and the failings being highlighted, the standards, the poor standards that are being aired, that I am unduly tolerating. Those that are uncomfortable with the media and the communicative process, I have concerns for any future offence that is being, I suppose, preempted or I suppose there's another effort of obstruction that's being attempted. But this is what happens when people are discomforted by the truth. And I'd say if Noam Chomsky in America was to assess the situation, I'd say he'd have a lot to say about it. So those people that are communicating a poor PR message and that aren't working with the truth, you're out of harmonization or out of sync with my purpose. I for justice. I represent women and children's rights, and as a humanitarian of royal descent, I would appreciate Royal Protocol being observed, and people that are in my proximity or intruding upon my privacy are not, observing the basics. I think everyone needs to come down to earth and base level, ground level, and realize, the reality before they expect any aspirational progress from any silly nonsense with, new faces or new names or new ways or whatever, new tactics. It's laborious. This has been going on for quite a long while, most seriously since 2006 and most dangerously since 2017. So my child is illegally from my care. I would, as always, as I've said to the audience of these uploads in this documentary, I would appreciate my child located. My child was illegally separated from me, and Tusla Child and Family Agency don't have lawful care orders at all. So that's quite dangerous that a child isn't from his mother lawfully. So my child is to be located. It's in the best interest of all families that the family unit be respected. And if the family unit isn't respected, then there's no safety in society, and especially with regard to all the contributions my humanitarian purpose has provided, that I would appreciate politicians up in Dublin not taking credit for. There's nothing worse than academic fraud, and there has been huge academic fraud. So this is really, I suppose, for the attention of the European Union and all the humanitarian agencies that are aware of what has happened in this community and from this community, with the bad entertainment scene, the bad, poor media contributions that have been made, and the PR stunts that are very superficial, very shallow, and not really based in good faith or good practice. So unless they have that caliber, quality or authenticity behind them, it might be safer for everyone to be on the right side of the law, and anyone that's disparaging or disrespecting or defaming my good name, character, reputation, I hope they're aware of Royal Protocol and my position with the law. I'm aware that there are people stalking and falsely claiming about me, and that's not safe for people's families, especially those that have debts outstanding for damages, harms and losses and defame and all that. Creative intellectual theft also. So that's my second upload for today.